I love medicine. I love biology. I love physiology. And um, I love taking care of cancer patients. I love surgery is my passion. And it's because I can see things that maybe other people can't see as far as dissection and taking the cancer out. That's super gratifying. And I save patients' lives and make their quality of life better.
So today I'm here with Dr. Maria Bell, and today we're going to be doing a couple of things. First, we're going to be talking about what your job is. Then we're going to be talking about the road that you took to get to where you are before finally hearing some advice that you have for the younger generation. First question, can you just tell me a little bit about your job and what you do?
Well, I have a couple of different jobs. So, my primary job is I am a gynecologic oncologist. So, I take care of women that have cancers. I do their surgery to remove their cancer. And then I give them chemotherapy or immunotherapy to help cure their cancer. That's my primary job.
Awesome. Can you tell me what a typical day like is for you?
So, I'll just give you my week. So, Monday, I see patients in clinic all day. So, today I saw 20 patients. Those are patients that might have been somebody I did surgery on, or it might be somebody that I'm giving chemotherapy to, or it might be somebody who's done well and we're having a discussion about them going off their maintenance therapy. That was my day today. My evening was running my company. So my company is after hours, so to speak.
So can you tell me a little bit about that company?
So the company is called Digital Twin Imaging, and I started it in 2021, so not that long ago, because I became very fascinated with the metaverse. I am a robotic surgeon. And so, what robotic surgery is I put my head kind of like in a big Oculus, giant Oculus, that is through joysticks and foot pedals. I am controlling the instruments that are my patient's body, that's like 6 feet away. So it's true VR surgery. And that's what I do all the time. And I've been doing that since 2005. So I became very interested in VR and what other medical applications I could develop. Have you heard of the sandbox?
I have not.
So the sandbox is a metaverse, one of the more popular metaverses. I actually had to buy a ticket to go in there, but when I went in there, I could see it's all crypto based. So it's all Web3 crypto based commerce, is what I would say. And so I thought, well, I could develop a company that can provide medical services in this arena. And I saw that there was a lot of commerce being done there with big retailers that you would know, Nike, Sony, all these big retailers are doing
Really?
business in this realm. And so I thought, well, there's nobody doing medicine here, and that was my first intent, was to create medical services in the metaverse. So, in order to get things from the real world, because when you go into these metaverses, they have buildings, you walk through the buildings. So, in order to get things from the real world into a metaverse or virtual reality, you have to convert this real world object into a data point cloud. And that's done by using LiDAR scanning. And then once this real world object is in this data point cloud, you can manipulate it and put it into other dimensions, basically. That's what I became interested in.
So is that what your company is mainly focused around now?
No, but once I learned the technology and I purchased the equipment that allows you to do that, um, about 5 months after I started the company, tragedy at Uvalde, Texas, in the Robb Elementary School tragedy occurred. And I could see through the footage that was shown that the first responders didn't know anything about the interior of the school, and they didn't know about the protocols that should be followed. I'm a surgeon, I'm a pilot. We all talk about checklists and protocols, and this is how we run our lives, and this is how we run emergencies. And it was clear that that was not happening there. And I thought, well, the technology that I've just been learning about could help that situation. So I pivoted the company, and now we create what I call 4-dimensional models of schools or churches or government buildings, what I call soft targets that people want to do damage to for whatever reason. And I help by putting first responder information into those models so that first responders can actually walk through your school. Most first responders have never actually completely walked through the school to which they're deployed. So that was my reason for pivoting the company.
So when did you make that pivot with your company?
So that was in May of 22 when Uvalde happened.
So what do you like most about being a surgeon and also running this company?
Well, I always knew, since age 12 that I wanted to be a doctor. I love medicine. I love biology. I love physiology. And um, I love taking care of cancer patients. I love surgery is my passion, and it's because I can see things that maybe other people can't see as far as dissection and taking the cancer out. That's super gratifying. And I save patients' lives and make their quality of life better. It's tough though. It's very difficult what I do from a lifestyle standpoint. I don't have a lot of free time, but I love what I do. I would never do anything different. I'm just now running a company that is also making a difference in other people's lives that I can't typically reach.
So I wanted to talk more about the surgery that you do. You said you like use a controller and virtual reality goggles. Can you explain that more a little bit?
So, this technology was developed by the Department of Defense, and they used it because they wanted to be able to operate on astronauts that were in space. So, how could they do that? So, if they're in the International Space Station and they have an acute appendicitis or whatever it is, the astronauts are not trained surgeons. So, they wanted to figure out a way that a surgeon on Earth can actually do the surgery in the International Space Station. So that's how the technology was developed. I was an early adopter, and I can just see immediately that this technology was so much better and made things safer for the patient. And I've published on that. It was a cost savings for the institution, but it's like a video game. So I'm seated, and my head is in this thing, and I'm seeing the inside of my patient's body. And then I'm using joysticks and foot pedals to move the instruments that are in my patient that's 6 feet over there. It's true VR surgery.
When did you start specializing in this VR surgery?
In 2005.
And that technology came out in 2005?
I was an early adopter, probably the first Da Vinci, which is what the commercial company is. We were one of the first institutions to get this, and I was an early adopter. I've taught all over the world, teaching other doctors how to do the surgery, because some people are not, as you know, I don't know if you do any kind of video gaming, but some people are really good, some people are not so good, right? And so I taught a lot of people all over the world how to do robotic surgery.
That's awesome. And what skills and qualities would you say are essential for success in either running a company or being a surgeon?
I think it's you have to do what you're passionate about first. So My advice to young people is do what you love. I always loved medicine. I knew when I was 12 I was going to be a doctor. Most people don't know when they're 12 what they want to be, but I would always say do what you love, because then it's not a job, it's what you do. And the other thing I would say is the thing that gratifies me the most is when I'm serving other people and I'm making their life better. There's no other thing that makes me feel better than helping somebody else.
That's an awesome quality. And you also had briefly mentioned that you were a pilot. Can you talk to me a little bit more about that path of your life?
Well, when I was in college, I took aviation as a physics class. I really liked it. I did only 5 hours of flight training because it was expensive and I just didn't have the money to continue on. But I took the aviation test and passed that, and then in about 2011, something like that, I graduated from college in 1984. So many years passed, and I got a Groupon. I don't know if you know what a Groupon is, but it's like a coupon for something, and it was for a free flight lesson. And I said, wow, well, I'm going to take this free flight lesson and see if I still really enjoy flying. And I did. And I said, well, I couldn't afford to do this when I was in college, but now I can. And so I got my private pilot's license, and I finished that in about 2015. And then I built my own airplane. And then I got my instrument rating in so that you can fly without seeing outside of the cockpit. So you're using all your instruments just to fly the plane.
You built the plane yourself. Can you expand on that a little bit?
Sure. So there are kit planes, just like you get a kit plane, as a kid that you would put together. Well, this is a kit plane that you put together. The FAA, the Federal Aviation Agency, states that 51% of the plane has to be built by a person. So that basically it allows you to, well, number one, you're building a plane, which I think is super cool. But secondly, you can
Well,
build this
definitely, yeah.
plane. You can build the plane much cheaper than you could buy it. So there's a process, though. I had to order the parts. They come in a big box, big crate, and they have. It's just like a kit plane that you would build as a kid, although they're bigger pieces. So I did it with another person, like a auto mechanic body person, and so he had more, I guess, experience in this kind of thing. But I had to learn how to rivet. I had to learn how to sand aluminum. It was a big process, and the FAA requires us to hire a pilot, what they call a test pilot. Once the plane is done, then we have to have a test pilot, test the plane. And then for 40 hours of the plane's life, you can't leave a certain perimeter of your home airport. But it was a really cool experience, I must say.
Yeah, definitely. It sounds like a cool experience. I want to shift a little bit to what type of schooling did you go through? What undergraduate college, what graduate college? Can you just talk about that a little bit, please?
So, undergrad, I went to Augustana College, Augustana University, which is a liberal arts school. I was an athlete, so I was able to pay for my school because I got an athletic scholarship. I played tennis, and this is back in the 1980s where interest rates were 20%. And I didn't come from money, so I had to pay for my school. And that was the way I could do it, was by getting an athletic scholarship. And so that was my first experience with post high school education. And I knew I wanted to be a doctor. So everything I did in college was about being able to get into medical school. And then I got into medical school at University of South Dakota. And then everything after that was about what I wanted to do in medicine.
What would you say the biggest challenge of being a robotic surgeon is?
I just think it's such a an advancement over traditional open or laparoscopic surgery that it just, the times that I have to convert, which means that I started robotically and I had to take the robot off and open the patient to do it with my own hands and eyes. My conversion rate is about 1%. It's not very high, but when I've had to do that is when the patient has had multiple surgeries that make it such that I can't see with the robot, where I have to actually open them up and get whatever is stuck off of what where I need to see.
So prior to getting into the robotic surgery, were you doing just traditional conventional surgeries?
Yes, yeah.
And can you share a significant challenge that you had to face in your career?
Well, I think as a woman, it's always difficult because I always wanted to have children. And it's hard to do that when you're in school. And I didn't get married until I was 32. So after that, then I got married, and it's just hard to have kids and be in a really rigorous career. So it's hard.
100%, yeah. And over the years, I know you said in 2005 they came out with this technology. Have there been any major changes in the industry, especially with the advent of AI?
No, not with regard to surgery, but certainly with diagnosis and diagnostic stuff for medicine. So AI can tap upon all X-rays. So for the field of radiology, they are going to have a big change. The field of pathology, they're going to have a big change because no human being can access all of the information, but AI can. Surgery is a different story. So it would be hard for AI to actually do the surgery at this point in time. Now, 10 years from now, that might be different.
And what would you say the best path for someone to take is if they want to be a robotic surgeon like yourself, or maybe just a surgeon in general?
So, you start with, undergraduate. You'll be probably a biology or chemistry major. And you go through that process and apply to medical school. It's still pretty competitive. So you have to be disciplined. You have to get good grades in college. If you look up, the average GPA for a medical student, it's probably 3.8 or something like that. And then you have to take a standardized test to get in. So it's very competitive, and you have to work hard. I mean, I I was also an athlete, so a lot of my time to pay for school was competing in tennis, and then I had to study. So I didn't have a lot of fun in college because I was working.
Definitely. And is there something that students can do to gain an edge when it comes to trying to get into medical school?
I would just say it's about getting good grades, but it's also about having some experience in healthcare. I didn't have any experience in healthcare, but I think that always helps the application. So doing volunteer work for a hospital system is always helpful. And it also helps you figure out if you really want to be in this field.
Definitely. And finally, my last question is what advice would you have to young adults aspiring to go into the world of surgery and maybe even robotic surgery?
My advice to anybody is that you do what you love and what brings you joy in life. And it's hard to figure that out when you're your age, but you'll figure it out as you go through life. What brings you joy? Is it helping others? With regard to medicine, it's about being super disciplined and working hard. That's how you get into medicine.
Well, Maria, thank you so much. That's all the questions I have for you today. And I really want to thank you for volunteering your time in support of Career Road. And I really hope that young adults all across the world watch your interview and hear your amazing story and all the advice that you have to offer. It was really amazing. Thank you, Maria.
Thank you.